We're a third of the way through this season, and Week 5 was by far the most eventful set of games we've seen up to this point, both in the Rfffl and in the NFL itself. So let's take a look at everything that happened this week. Kang continued his tear through Greenville with his second straight high scoring week and setting the new season high for a 1 week score on his way to his third straight win over Anna and Dizzy's Dummies. Kang had three players on his roster over 30 points, including Tom Brady and Antonio Brown's 69-point team up to beat down the Dolphins. Anna got great weeks out of Devontae Adams and Cortland Sutton, but she would have needed a miracle to top Kang this week as he takes it 176.84 to 119.80. Dave took on Caroline this week in their 10th overall meeting. It started with Dave's 59-point jump start on Thursday night from Cooper Kupp, Darrell Henderson, and DK Metcalf, who caught both of the Seahawks touchdowns. Caroline got back into the game on Sunday morning with Mike Davis posting 12 points, but Dave ran away with it late, capitalizing on Kareem Hunt's success in this week's shootout in LA. Caroline didn't get the big week she needed from Stephon Diggs and Tyler Bass, and Sunday night's 70-point margin was far too much for Mark Andrews to close by himself, leaving Caroline with her third loss of the season by a final score of 146 to 117. Eric with the K took on Natalie this week, both teams at 3-1 coming into this game. Natalie won their only meeting last year. Tyler Higbee had a decent tight end performance on Thursday, but the depth of Josie and the Pussycats built a wall that was too high for Eric the Red to climb. Terry McLaurin was the only player to come in under 10 points for Josie and the Pussycats, including her kicker and defense. Eric with a K was holding a narrow lead at the beginning of Sunday night, but Natalie's 60-point night ran away with this one, 161 to 106. Susan and Jared played their third all-time game this week. This one also started Thursday night with Alex Collins, who was filling in for the injured Chris Carson, putting up 9 points for Jared and You Shall Not Pass. Jared benefited from another second-string running back in Alexander Madison, who posted a game-high 25 points, stepping in for the injured Dalvin Cook, and proving just how powerful handcuffing can be. Susan had a good showing from her wide receivers, but Trey Lance and her running backs came up short. Going into Monday night, Susan needed a long shot 32 points from Latavius Murray and Justin Tucker, but the Ravens' running game fell by the wayside due to an early deficit, leaving Susan 24 points short with a final score of 82 to 106. We also had undefeated Kyle taking on 2-2 Kathy, and it was a lot different than it looked like it was going to be. Kyle's RB tandem of Derrick Henry and DeAndre Swift came up big again with 53 combined points, and Deontay Johnson and Justin Jefferson also showed up, but the pieces built around that core fell apart with Sam Darnold, Darren Waller, and Corey Davis all coming in under 10 points. Kathy's squad was riddled with issues, including an injury to Clyde Edwards-Helaire early in the second half of the Sunday night game, but Mike Williams, Damian Williams, and kicker Greg Joseph kept this one within reach, leaving a 28-point gap between Kyle's Rodrigo Blankenship and Kathy's Lamar Jackson on Monday night. Hot Rod posted 7 points, but missed a field goal that would have won the game both for the Colts and for Kyle, and left the door open for Lamar Jackson to score 42 points and hand Kyle his first loss of the season. Rachel and Catherine met up this week and blew up the scoreboard. Rachel's points came primarily from this week's top scorer Justin Herbert in his 42-point performance against the Browns, which included 400 yards and 5 total touchdowns. Catherine got huge numbers from Jamar Chase, Mike Evans, and Alvin Kamara, who combined for over 85 points. Going into Monday night, Catherine was holding on to a 32-point lead with the Ravens' defense set to keep it safe, and Rachel sent out Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman to try to take it back. Those two combined for 3 touchdowns and 260 all-purpose yards, giving Rachel the win by a score of 170 to 158. And this week's game of the week came down to one man by the name of Marquise Brown on Monday night. Eric's Thursday night head start was spoiled by an injury to Russell Wilson's finger, which took him out of the game with only 9 fantasy points. Dan's quarterback, on the other hand, was happy and healthy, and Joshy posted 36.5 against the Chiefs in a statement win. Allen's 4-touchdown game gave Dan a 19.38-point lead at the end of Sunday night, leaving Hollywood with a high mark to set. Brown cleared the bar right before the end of regulation, and a game-winning touchdown sealed it, giving Eric his second win by a score of 136 to 121. It was a very eventful Week 5, so let's take a look at those good old standings. Kyle came into the weekend first, but he's fallen down to fourth after his loss to Kathy, moving Kang up to second, Natalie up to third, and Dave up to first. In fifth remains Eric with a K, and in sixth place, Rachel jumps up into the playoff picture. Kathy stays in seventh, and Jared jumps up to eighth. In ninth place is Eric, followed by Catherine, Caroline, Dan, Susan, and Anna. Plenty of roster moves this week, including 3 trades. Eric with a K traded Tyler Higbee to Rachel for J.D. McKissick. Eric with a C traded Russell Wilson, Sony Michel, and Jacoby Myers to Dave for Dak Prescott and Jeremy McNichols. And Jared traded Dallas Goedert and Javonte Williams to Caroline for Curtis Samuel and Dawson Knox. On the waivers, Catherine dropped the Vikings defense to pick up the Ravens on Thursday before the games. She then went on to drop Teddy Bridgewater on Saturday to grab Hunter Henry. After the games, she grabbed Khalil Herbert to fill a spot left by George Kittle's move to the IR, dropped the Ravens to pick up the Bengals, and dropped Juju Smith-Schuster, who is out for the season, to take Teddy Bridgewater back. Susan dropped Adam Humphries to nab Deontay Harris. Kathy dropped Ryan Fitzpatrick to pick up Tyler Conklin. Eric dropped the Dolphins to pick up the Bears before the games and grabbed Savon Ahmed to drop Le'Veon Bell on Wednesday's waivers. After the trade with Dave processed, Eric picked up Jameis Winston on Thursday morning. Rachel picked up Robert Tonyan to replace Jack Doyle pre-game Week 5. Anna grabbed Devontae Booker on waivers for Malcolm Brown. Jared grabbed David Njoku with a drop pending on his trade with Caroline. Eric with a K dropped the Patriots to pick up the Rams on waivers, then dropped Ronald Jones for Rondale Moore. And Kyle grabbed Kadarius Toney on waivers for Sammy Watkins and dropped the Broncos to pick up the Colts. This week is the first bye week of the season. It'll be San Francisco, New Orleans, Atlanta, and the Jets taking the week off as we push into the middle 5 games of the fantasy season. Let's see how those affect this week's matchups, starting with Eric versus Rachel. This one will kick off Sunday morning with Myles Gaskin for Eric and James Robinson and Marvin Jones for 911 playing in Tottenham Hotspur Stadium across the pond. Gaskin and Robinson are both coming off of hot Week 5 performances, so the Brits could be in for a show. Both of these teams pulled off big comeback wins in Week 5, but Rachel's 3-game win streak has her riding a wave of momentum. The final player in this one will be the Titans' defense on Monday night, with a projected finish in Eric's favor by a score of 117 to 115. Natalie and Susan face off for their 12th overall meeting. Susan is currently riding a 4-game skid, and Natalie's momentum is going to be hard to overcome, especially with Trey Lance, Calvin Ridley, and Deontay Harris on byes this week. Natalie will need to find a tight end with Kyle Pitts on bye and Jake Butt still a free agent. As of Wednesday, I have no clue what the projection is. Let me check it on my phone right now if it'll pull up on the app. I think their rosters still haven't been changed. Pardon me, sorry. Yeah, Susan still hasn't picked her roster, but right now it stands at 103 to 77. Maybe that'll change by the time this video gets put out. Next, we've got Eric with a K versus Dan. It's a run back of last year's game, which was a 72-point blowout win for Eric, but this year it looks a lot closer. Eric with a K will be missing Deebo Samuel, but Christian McCaffrey is on track to come back for a game against the Vikings this week. Dan will have to bench the hot-handed Cordero Patterson in favor of David Johnson. He gets the last say with Josh Allen and A.J. Brown on Monday night, but as of this morning, it goes to Eric with a K by a score of 119.95 to 118.80. Anna gets a second shot at Catherine this week. Their Week 3 game went to Catherine by about 15 points, but Catherine has run into a roadblock with her 2 best running backs on bye weeks. She picked up Khalil Herbert to line up with Damian Harris, but the two are projected to combine for only 14 points. As of right now, the projection still favors Anna 114 to 103. Jared and Caroline are this week's in-house matchup. Caroline is still yet to lose to her sweet Babu across 4 games in 2 seasons. This one kicks off with Leonard Fournette running for Caroline on Thursday night, and it'll finish with Stephon Diggs receiving for Caroline on Monday night. NFL seems to believe that no one beats Jared 5 times in a row, as they have him taking this one 119 to 113.49. In our game of the week, the only 2 teams to hold the number 1 spot in the league face off. Dave is still the top scoring manager in the league, and Kyle currently stands at 4th. Kyle will be without Brandon Ayuk and Corey Davis, forcing Kadarius Toney into his starting lineup at flex. Dave gets the first punch with Devontae Smith and Ryan Suckup on Thursday, but Kyle gets the last word with Derrick Henry on Monday. And NFL.com says Kyle takes it 132 to 123. And finally, Kang and Kathy are running their first of 2 games this week, pardon me. Kang has won 3 straight, including 2 consecutive league high weeks, and Kathy's fresh off a huge win over previously undefeated Kyle. Neither team has any notable buys to work around, though the injured Traquan Smith is technically on a bye for Kathy. Kang will kick it off with Brady and Brown tonight, and Kathy will finish it off with Cole Beasley on Monday. As of today, Kang's projected to win 121.5 to 107.48. That's all for this week, and I'll see you next Thursday. Go Bills.